Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. I'm your science teacher today here for a chapter number respiration. It's all about energy. Okay, and today, inshallah, we will talk about the introduction of respiration, somehow about the types of respiration, and how and what type of energy we get after this respiration activity. Okay, let's move to our topic. Yes, so introduction. Cellular respiration can be classified as aerobic or anaerobic respiration. Okay, so first of all, I will clear what is this cellular respiration. When we say that when we take in oxygen inside of our body and take out carbon dioxide out of it, it is just called breathing. Got it, students? It is called breathing. But when this intake of oxygen become a part of our body, because when oxygen reach to each and every cell of our body, then we call it as cellular respiration. And later in this chapter you will learn that how this oxygen reach to each and every cell of our body. Okay, so there are two types of cellular respiration: aerobic and anaerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration, cells will break down glucose in the presence of oxygen through certain processes to produce carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so we will learn later, inshallah, that when this in aerobic respiration, when oxygen is being taken inside the lungs, it break down, means it divide or break down the glucose. Now from where this glucose has come? From your food. Okay, we are also eating food, so glucose is present in our food. The oxygen which we inhale, it break down this glucose, and by breaking down, by the end of this process, we produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Carbon dioxide which is produced, we exhale it out, means we take it out of the body. Water remains inside of our body in the form of water vapors, and actually, and by the end, we get a very good amount of energy. That's why this intake of oxygen is very necessary for our life, because it is giving us energy. Okay, now aerobic respiration usually occurs within the cells of animals such as humans. Okay, such as humans, and um, this is specifically a type of respiration for humans and other animals as well. Even it is also happening in some lower organisms, but more prominently it is the respiration taking place in humans. Okay, now what is this cellular respiration? The majority of organisms on earth use glucose as their main energy source. So I hope, students, most of you already know that when we take in food, okay, the main component of food is this glucose. Okay, we are also eating proteins, fats, and all that, but the main content is this glucose. Got it? So when we take in this glucose, it becomes our main energy source, because it is really your main energy giving food. So through a series of redox reactions, glucose is broken down and free energy is released. Okay, what are these redox reactions? We had learned in our chapter number 3, periodic table, when there is some transfers of electrons and all that. Similarly, some uh, gain of electron and loss of electrons is called as combinedly we call them redox reactions. So after some certain exchanges, glucose is broken down. When glucose is broken down, free energy is released, which I had already told you. So aerobic cellular respiration is the most often used method of converting glucose to free energy. Okay, means the most common method which we use for changing glucose to free energy is the aerobic cellular respiration. Aerobic means that oxygen is used in the process. Yes, aerobic means oxygen is the main part of this process. Okay, while there is another respiration, I already talked about it, that is anaerobic respiration, and you will be surprised that over there the respiration takes place without the presence of oxygen. Okay, but we will talk about it later, inshallah. Okay, so respiration is the refers to the refers to the 20 or so reactions that take place to the free up energy in glucose. Means respiration is a process in which many reactions takes place, and in the end we get up the free energy. Okay, next, what is this anaerobic respiration now, students? I had just told you that aerobic respiration is a process in which oxygen is used. Got it, students? And we are talking time and again that this oxygen will break down the glucose. But in the case of this anaerobic respiration, unlike aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration is when energy is provided without needing oxygen. So in this equation, you can see, students, that the glucose is directly changing into this lactic acid and a bit of energy. Means it does not have oxygen as a reactant with it to convert it into lactic acid or some or less amount of energy. Okay, inshallah we will talk more about it later. So this happens when the body cannot provide oxygen quick enough for aerobic respiration to take place. Now what does this mean? I just told you, students, that aerobic respiration is a fundamental phenomena for humans. But even, students, sometimes humans can also respire anaerobically. In which situation it happens? Actually, when we are doing more than extra hard job, means we are running, we are participating in any race, okay, or we are in some suffocated area, rushy area, where we cannot respire properly. In that case, our body that unconsciously start respiring anaerobically, because in this situation our aerobic respiration is not enough for our respiration. Means the oxygen which we are requiring is not sufficient in this particular condition, so automatically our body starts respiring anaerobically, means without oxygen. So anaerobic respiration produces energy much quicker than aerobic respiration, but only produces 1/20th as much. Okay, so this point is very important, students. Aerobic respiration may be providing you energy at a much slower rate, but the amount of energy is much higher in case of aerobic respiration. While in anaerobic respiration, maybe it is giving you a quicker energy. As I told you, these emergency situations in which you need an emergency supply of respiration. So maybe it is helpful for you at that time, but it is producing very less amount of energy than the aerobic respiration. Got it, students? I hope now you are clear about this anaerobic respiration. So you have seen that over here in anaerobic respiration, lactic acid has been produced, while in this aerobic respiration, we learned that carbon dioxide and water is produced. But here we are watching that this lactic acid is produced. Okay. So when the lactic acid is produced, and this can build up in muscles, causing fatigue and an oxygen deficit. Means, I'm giving you a very simple example right now. You normally we don't have any sports or games on daily basis, isn't it, students? So once in a while, if we start taking or playing some game, so if we started at the first day, you might have observed that till that end of the day, you might start feeling some fatigue. You might start feeling some stretchness in the muscles, especially of your leg region and all that. Okay. Now on second day, maybe you have done some sports or the game. Again, you will start feeling the twitching of the muscles and all that. Why? Because you were using or you were doing anaerobic respiration during that sport or game. So although that anaerobic respiration has provided you an emergency supply of oxygen, but actually in the meanwhile, this lactic acid has been produced in your body, and it has been accumulated, or you can say it has been stored in your body. When lactic acid indirectly stored in our body, it makes us fatigue, or it causes us fatigue, or we feel the tightness of the muscles. But if you keep playing, if you keep doing that sports on regular basis, then your body becomes used to of it, and then you don't feel this twitching of muscles, etc. What this debit means, that this debit then needs to be repaid by deep breathing to oxidize the lactic acid. It is very, very natural, students, that when we stop our race, when we stop our game, we take long breaths like this. Got it? So when we taking long breaths, it means we are we are again repaying our normal oxygen for this lactic acid to be broken down now. Is that clear, students? I hope you are getting about this anaerobic respiration. Okay. Now, again, something about or more about this anaerobic respiration, the partial, what we say or what we call this partial, basically incomplete means, partial means which is not done completely. Okay. So the partial or incomplete oxidation of organic food in the absence of atmospheric oxygen is called anaerobic respiration. So what we have learned so far, that in an aerobic respiration there is incomplete or partial breakdown of glucose in the absence of oxygen, means oxygen is not included, not involved in this breakdown, and ultimately it produce or it break down this glucose is called as anaerobic respiration. Okay, this is called as anaerobic respiration. So organisms performing anaerobic respiration are called anaerobes. What we call them? Anaerobes. And this anaerobic respiration is more and more prominent in microorganisms. In which? In microorganisms, it is more prominent, means bacteria, viruses, fungus, like this. And over here, it is getting another name over there, and that is called as fermentation. Yes, students, fermentation is another name for this anaerobic respiration. Got it? Very more important point about this anaerobic respiration is that in this no exchange of gases takes place. Like in aerobic respiration, okay, that is the cellular respiration, but basically that is done when oxygen is getting in our body and carbon dioxide is get out of our body, isn't it? But in anaerobic respiration, students, there is no exchange of gases. Got it? And only two ATP molecules are formed. It is a very less amount of energy. For humans, these two ATPs are not at all enough for their uh, energy. Okay, what are these ATP? I will discuss about it later, but this is a very precise and key points about the anaerobic respiration, that it is the partial or incomplete oxidation of organic food in the absence of atmospheric oxygen. Organisms performing anaerobic respiration are called anaerobes. What we call them? Anaerobes. Where it is more prominent? In microorganisms. Means in microorganisms, it is known as fermentation rather than we call them anaerobic respiration. There is no exchange of gases during this anaerobic respiration and only two ATP molecules are formed. Got it, students? Okay. Moving to the next topic now. Yes. Again, we are having the types of respiration. Now I have given you this um, slide so that you can see the clear difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration with the help of equations now. So there are two types of respiration. They are aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So what is aerobic respiration? It is the respiration in which glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen. This is very highlighted part, please. This is very, very important, that in aerobic respiration, oxygen is must. Okay. So when it is reacting with this glucose, it helps to break down it into carbon dioxide and water. Okay, it is breaking down it into carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so it takes place in most organisms, including humans, plants, animals, many lower plants and animals. So aerobic respiration is more common. Got it? It is more common. So this glucose in the presence of oxygen will give you carbon dioxide, water, and a very, very, very good amount of energy. That is why we are living um, uh, actively, because we are getting much energy after this aerobic respiration. While anaerobic respiration is the respiration in which glucose is broken down in the absence of oxygen. Okay, in the absence of oxygen, to release alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. So here you are watching, students, look at it carefully, that here the glucose in the absence of oxygen do not change into carbon dioxide and water only, rather they are changing into this alcohol, and over here I will tell you it is changing into lactic acid. So these are two very intermediate, means in between stages. After a certain broken down of these alcohol and lactic acid, then we get, or the microorganisms get carbon dioxide somehow and a less amount of energy. So as I told, it takes place in yeast. Yeast is also a type of fungus, and you know that it is also considered or can be called as a microorganism, as we have just learned. Okay, so glucose in the absence of oxygen change into alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. In anaerobic respiration, in our muscle cells, okay, in our muscle cells, like I have given you the example of that sports and game, Glucose is broken down in the absence of oxygen to release lactic acid and energy. Okay, it is giving you lactic acid. So this is actually we will also have our next lesson, then we will learn when glucose is changed into alcohol, that takes place in plants, while in animals, in like microorganisms, it is changed into lactic acid. Okay, so that is for plants, that is for animals. So in the absence of oxygen, lactic acid is produced and energy is released. And I have just told you that actually this is the lactic acid which is stored in our muscles, and it is causing fatigue in our body if we are respiring anaerobically in some emergency situation. Got it, students? I hope till now the topic is clear to you all. Okay, moving to the next topic now. Yes, what are these outcome of energy? I'm talking about this energy time and again, time and again. So first of all, you need to know that basically our body gets this energy in the form of this very, very important chemical, you can say, or this particle, you can say, that is called as ATP. This is its structural formula. You can see over here, this is the structural formula. Otherwise, A stands for adenosine, T stands for tri, and P stands for phosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. This is basically just like the energy packets for our body. Like it is considered, or it is called as the energy currency of the body, of the human body. All of you know what is currency. Huh? It helps you to purchase the things and get the things. It is having some power. Got it? So this ATP is the energy currency of our body. It is giving our body, it is giving our body energy, it is giving our body activeness. Because of this ATP, actually our body is performing all the activities. Okay, so what are the outcomes of energy? Means when we are specifically respiring aerobically, or even uh, sometimes in emergency situations we are respiring anaerobically, or the microorganism generally they only respire anaerobically. So what it do, that it use up the oxygen. In the case of aerobic respiration, it will utilize all the oxygen. Then it produce carbon dioxide and water. Then it, to produce energy, the body needs, if we need to produce energy, then we had to get a good supply of oxygen. By the time we will not inhale much oxygen in our body, our glucose will not be broken down. Are you getting it? So for this, for getting ATP, we have to get more oxygen in our body. Then our glucose will be effectively broken down. That is why, students, I told that in suffocated areas where there is less available oxygen, you start respiring anaerobically. Okay, so it shows that more oxygen you will take in, more breakdown of glucose will take place, and ultimately you will get more ATPs. That's why it is always suggested that take fresh, take breaths in fresh air, huh? Or have some morning walks and like this, because they help you to um, intake more and fresh supply of oxygen. Got it? So it helps to get rid of carbon dioxide, because by the end of this aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide is produced, and this carbon dioxide is a waste for your body, and your respiration or the breathing system then allowing your body to get rid, or to um, and, removing this carbon dioxide from your body, because it can become a poison for you if this carbon dioxide will remain in your body. Got it, students? Okay, so I hope that again you have well understand about this outcome of energy. Now this is our today's last topic, that we need to know the difference in the inhaled and exhaled air. Got it? Means when we are taking in oxygen, what is the ratio of different gases, and when we are taking out oxygen, taking out air out of our body, what is the ratio of uh, gases in that time. So let's see, students, when we inhale air, okay, when we are taking in the air, the oxygen at that time is 21%, while in exhaled air it is 17% only. Got it? Because in the meanwhile, when you have taken in this oxygen, it is 21%. Definitely, it has been utilized in your body for breaking down of glucose. So when you exhaled out of this oxygen, it is only 17%. Carbon dioxide, when you take in along with air, you are just taking air inside, you are not deciding oxygen, you come out and you come in and you don't come in. So naturally your body gets 0.04% of carbon dioxide. But when you exhale it, it becomes 4%, because in your body now it has been produced as a byproduct because of the breakdown of glucose in the presence of oxygen. So our body has more carbon dioxide than the outside. So when we exhale air, it becomes 4%. Got it? Nitrogen is also a very important gas. It remains 78% either in inhaled or in exhaled air. Okay, and the water vapors. What is the role of these water vapors? Students, when we are living somewhere, either we are living inside or outside, you know that humidity or the humid air is present all the time. Even we are using our fans, ACs, and all that, water vapors always remain there. Okay, so when we inhale air, it may be variable. What do we mean by variable? Means it may be changed. Sometimes it is cold weather, sometimes it is hot weather, so it depends upon the temperature around you, so it can be changed. But when we exhaled air, it is saturated, means it is normal. And for this saturation, to check the uh, amount of this, or to check this saturated water vapors in exhaled air, if you throw a breath on a this mirror, or even at your this palm, okay, you will get some moisture on your palm, or you can see some spots or the water vapors on the mirror. Okay, do that simple activity. By the help of that, you will be able to know about it. So that is all for today's lesson, students. I hope you have well understand about today's topic. We had started our new chapter in which we had learned about this um, cellular respiration. How many types of respirations are there? Then what is this cellular respiration? Then we had learned about another type of respiration, that is this anaerobic respiration. What happens in it? Then some more important points about this anaerobic respiration. Then it is the again types of respiration, but comparison from the by the help of this equations. Then we had learned that what this energy needs and what it is giving us to our body. And then in the last but not the least, we have learned about the different ratios or the percentages of the gases during inhaled as well as exhaled air. So that is all from today's topic. I hope you have well understood